Hey there, my name is E.W. Buckley, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about my favorite feature on the Ableton Push 3, and that is MPE. MPE is awesome because it lets you do cool things like this. But what is MPE? Since I haven't discussed it before on this channel, that would be a great place for us to start. MPE stands for MIDI Polyphonic Expression. And the keyword to understanding MPE is that second word, polyphonic. Standard MIDI expression has historically been monophonic, in the sense that something like pitch bend used to just affect your whole chord all at once. Now with MPE, you can have individual control over the modulation of each note, hence polyphonic expression. And that means that you can play a chord, but you can pitch bend one note at a time. But it also means a lot more. MPE works by adding expression in 3 dimensions. Your x-axis, or left to right, handles pitch bend. Your y-axis, or forwards and backwards, is called slide. Your z-axis, or pressing harder downwards, is called pressure. And as I'm sure you can imagine, there is a lot that you can do with this. MPE is integrated all over Ableton Live, and that's part of what makes Push 3 so compelling. And it's easy to think about Push 3 as just a performance tool, but because of MPE, it is a very, very powerful production tool as well. Case in point, I'm using MPE all over my new song Speaking, which you can pre-save at the link in the bio or in the card above you. Let's break down some of the ways I'm using MPE in a production context in the song. It's helpful to think about MPE almost like the macros that you find on instrument racks. You consolidate a bunch of parameters down to one control, and you play with the expressive possibilities that emerge from those combinations as a result. And that's exactly what I'm doing here with the Push. Now I've built this particular instrument with sampler, and MPE is enabled on sampler. If you go all the way over to the MIDI tab, you will see that you can assign up to 2 parameters within sampler itself, each to note pitch bend, slide, and pressure. And for this instrument, I have slide taking care of panning as well as the filter morph, and that gives us this really cool, almost around the head kind of effect. For pressure, I mapped the shaper amount as well as the FM oscillator volume control, so if I push harder, it adds a little bite. And when you combine both, it really truly makes this instrument so expressive. It's so cool. I I've really been enjoying going back and adding MPE capabilities into previously built sampler instruments. In this case, I've got my cinematic reso strings here, and I've gone and I have added slide to control the filter frequency, as well as the pressure to control the built-in volume oscillator. And that really gives this string-like synth instrument even more string-like character. Let me show you. When using MPE, I often think that the comparison to acoustic instruments is apt, even if you are creating a synthetic instrument, because MPE gives you the kind of expressive affordances that you normally get with real physical instruments. One of the devices that features far more mapping capabilities is Ableton's wavetable. And anything that you can map within Wavetable's matrix is available to you for both pressure, note pitch bend, and slide. Again, our X, Y, and Z axis of expression for I created this instrument with the expressive possibilities of brass in mind. And it took a ton of mappings to get the results that I wanted. There is so much going off here that I'm literally going to just read my notes off to you so that so that I make sure I get all these mappings right. So I have oscillator 1 and 2's position. They're all mapped to slide, oscillator 1's warp, and oscillator 2's sync, as well as the cutoff for filter 1 and 2 are all mapped to pressure. And then additionally, the cutoff for filter 1 and 2 and the drive for filter 2 are mapped to slide. A lot of these mappings are the results of trial and error and just dialing things in while you're playing. And I think that input modality is worth exploring and talking about, because something like double mapping the cutoff of the filter to both pressure and slide is not something that I would have done if I was just making this patch to dial it in with my mouse. But I added and adjusted parameters to get to a result that felt good underneath my fingers. And I think that is worth it alone for something like Push with MPE, because it opens up new expressions of playing for you. It just feels really nice. MPE is available to you no matter what version of Ableton Live you're using, thanks to Drift. Drift was built for the ground up with MPE in mind, and it is very apparent from how accessible mappings are made for you. If we look all over the front plate of Drift here, there are multiple mod source boxes in which you can dial in modulation as you like, and then hidden in this mod tab here is a small mod matrix. Now, something that I really enjoy about MPE is mapping some sort of rhythmic function to the slide parameter, and that's exactly what I'm doing here with this instrument. And in the case of this patch here, I have mapped the rate of our cycling envelope to the slide control. I'm coupling that then with pressure controlling the filter cutoff and the shape of oscillator 1. And I'll let you just hear what it sounds like for yourself. The end result is actually really foreboding and kind of intense. It only shows up once in this song, but I am really confident that I'm going to get a lot of use out of this patch in multiple tracks down the line. Now, something I've discussed a lot on this channel is expression control. I mainly use its random parameter, but its main function is to allow you to map any parameter in Live that's mappable to MPE. And that's exactly what I'm doing here using my instrument, the endless string. So I've got an instance of expression control here, and I have mapped it to control the string tone on the endless string. It's controlling the spray, the frequency, and the feedback on an instance of grain delay, and then the wet dry on an instance of OTT before my channel strip after it. So if I press the bottom of a pad, I'm going to get almost no granulation or OTT. But if I press the top of the pad, I'm going to get a lot of both. And the cool thing is, since it's a monophonic instrument, if I have a note playing that has a ton of OTT and a ton of grain delay, I can essentially choke it out by playing another note, one that is farther down on the pad. But the cool thing is that I can slide into one state or another while playing a note. There's a lot there that you can do with expression control. Speaking of which, you can use expression control to use MPE for something other than an instrument. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So on this track here, I have my riser generator rack. Now, if you don't know about this rack, it is featured in one of my older videos, which you can check out at the card above us. But what you need to know about it is that this first macro here brings in and sweeps through a riser. And I made this just with audio effects. All the rest of the macros are here then to control various aspects of that riser. Now, I have at the front of this MIDI track an instance of expression control, and in between I have a totally empty simpler. You can't really use expression control if it doesn't have some sort of instrument to point to. But all of these slide parameters are controlling something that is mapped on riser generator. So expression control is controlling the riser macro itself, the tone of the noise, it's controlling the feedback, the reverb level, and the phase of the modulation built into this rack. And it sounds like this. And if you reach the top of the pad, it just cuts it off. So you can do it for just a single riser, or if you reverse it, you can do a downwards riser. Does anybody have a good name for that, by the way? Let me know in the comments. I've never heard a name that really has satisfied me a whole ton. So maybe you could be the person who does it. Now, you can, of course, perform a riser with an encoder, but there is something really, really satisfying about playing it. And I think that there is something there. That inherent satisfaction with MPE is more than satisfaction. Something that music producers miss out on compared to instrumentalists is this sense of embodiment, or the music physically being a part of us. Instrumentalists feel the music in a particular way because the music is generated from their body. MPE gives producers the chance to experience embodiment as part of the music making process in real time. And most importantly, it allows us to do it in the sound design and electronic contexts that are really important to a lot of our works. And there isn't really quite anything else out there that does that for us. And it might be for that reason alone that MPE is my favorite part of Push 3. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment. I'm working really hard to grow this channel to 50,000 subscribers by the end of 2026, and it is your support that makes it possible in its entirety. If you're interested in these instruments, you can go ahead and pick them up by becoming a patron of this channel over on my website. They're available to anybody at the artist tier. Make sure to pre-save speaking. It is my attempt at a song of the summer, a little ahead of schedule, but I'm hoping it'll grow on you in the same way that it has grown on me. It is literally stuck in my head all the time. I'm really excited about this song, and I'm excited for you to hear it.